Hey YouTube, sorry about the sunglasses, but it's a very bright day today here in South Africa. Um, this is going to be my coming out video. There's been lots of people over the last year trying to get me to do this, and I think the time is right. Um, I'm 50 years old right now, and when I did the original video that a lot of you have seen, I was about 45, I guess. That's the video that was an on-camera audition for a TV show, a reality TV show, sort of like an MTV Real World for gay community. Anyway, that was a couple years ago, and it got a lot of attention, and I met lots of friends. In fact, I met my current partner because of that video. He's a native of Cape Town, South Africa, and I met him through that video. But he's compelled me, and a lot of friends have compelled me to do this coming out, so I will. If there's any argument for being born gay, I think that I am it. I was raised in a utterly and completely heterosexual environment. My father was a career man in the Air Force. Had 5 brothers, 1 sister, a devout Catholic mother. We were all born around the world. We lived around the world. Again, I was surrounded with the military and surrounded with the church. There was never any inkling of a gay influence in my life. There was 3 epic events in my life, however, that compelled me to come out of the closet, and I'll get back to those individually. But one was the death of my oldest brother in a car accident, which was devastating to me. The other was dinner with my sister when I flew home from Japan to bury my brother. I took my sister out to eat, and she had no idea that she was being interrogated. But during that 15 or so hour flight from Japan, my life flashed before me, and all 28 years of my living for the church were coming to an end. They were collapsing. I wanted to demand some yes and no answers about some things that happened in my youth, things involving the church. Long story short, my sister was pivotal in those regards, and her answers, unknown to her, utterly changed my life, changed my perception of the church itself. And the third compelling reason for me to come out was blackmail. I was blackmailed by my roommate after I got out of the Navy. He was one of the key youth lay people at the second largest church in the U.S. I believe it's the second largest church, Willow Creek Church, outside Chicago. At the time, he was heavily involved with the youth ministries, and anyways, he turned out to be a major closet case, and I was a closet case at the time, but I was making efforts to come out. He found out that I knew about him, and he jumped the gun and was full of fear that I would out him, which was untrue. And anyways, he blackmailed me by telling others that they need to pray for me. So under the guise of praying for someone, he was gossiping and protecting himself. So those 3 things, the death of my brother, the dinner with my sister, and the blackmail of my friend, compelled me to take charge of my own life, that there's too many things left out of my hands if I let others dictate and define the argument about what being gay is and who Zach is. The only way to reel all that in was to out myself. So that sets it up. Going back, again, as the second youngest of 5 boys, 1 girl, and around about 5th grade, I began to realize that I was different. Didn't know exactly what that difference was. Couldn't put my finger on it. And of course, at that age, you don't think in terms of heterosexual and homosexual. You're just kind of responding to life as it happens, kind of knee-jerk reactions to life. But what I realized consciously in 5th grade was that I didn't seem to have the same curiosity about the girls on the playground that my brothers and peers did. It didn't matter that they wanted to run and pull their hair or push them down. They wanted some sort of interaction with the girls, and I could really care less about the girls. Then around 6th and 7th grade, my body started going through the changes that a boy's body will go through, and I was very confused by that. I started having, well, forgive me for being graphic, but it's a fact of life. Boys go through these stages of waking up with morning erections and having wet dreams, and all my wet dreams were about other males. This is something that you can't teach a kid. And I certainly wasn't taught these things. It was just a natural process. I only fantasized about other men. Around 7th grade, I learned what heterosexual and homosexual were, and then it was like an aha moment. I realized that's what I am. That's how I'm feeling. That's what I'm thinking inside. That's what makes me different. But I also realized, because of my very deep religious family life, that this was a subject that could not be broached. And it was devastating. I couldn't talk to anyone. The church was my entire life. It was my entire family. My social life, my Sunday life, everything was the church, the church, the church. So it was extremely frightening, the entire idea that I was gay. So I would go through periods where I wouldn't even allow myself to think the word gay. The thought was a sin to me, and I suppressed it. But naturally, nature will not be suppressed. Nature will be what it is, and those feelings never went away. I remember sometimes playing hooky from school. Just up in the middle of the day, I just walk off 5 miles into the country where there was a convent in the farmers' fields out there. And this was in Wisconsin. And there was a life-size cross up on a hill in the middle of this farmer's field. And I'd go walk 5 miles to this cross, and I'd lay at the foot of the cross, and I'd beg God to take these feelings away. Even though I'd never acted on them. I felt so alien, and I just wanted God to take them away. Please forgive me. Forgive me for things I had never even done. And then I'd go to the chapel, and I'd lay prone on the floor in front of the Virgin Mary and ask for her help. I did everything I could, and I suppressed it. And I cried privately. And I continued to do the Lord's work. I continued to pray the rosary and read the Bible, and I was going to be a priest. And then around the time I was 21, I was exposed more to my Protestant friends and their beliefs and their teachings, and I began to really question Catholicism. And it came to a point that I left the Catholic Church. After 3 months in Alaska, living out on my brother's homestead, 3 months away from church, away from civilization, I really began to question the authority and the credibility of my Catholic upbringing. So I came back to the States and went to Mass one last time, and I decided I can't do this. It had really nothing to do with my sexuality. I left the Catholic Church purely based on intellectual and historical reasoning. I can no longer commit the intellectual suicide as I define it for myself, not judging anyone out there. But it was intellectual suicide for me to remain in the Catholic Church. I became a born-again Christian, started attending Assembly of God churches, and then I started having issues with them. So intellectually, again, I left the Assembly of God churches. I finally settled on the non-denominational church in Wisconsin called Elmbrook Church. Not affiliated with anyone, but a very conservative, very popular church with a British pastor. And I became engrossed with them, and still struggling within myself about my sexuality. I think I'll pause there.